Okay, it's 7 o'clock. Is Chris coming tonight? Do you know?
No, unfortunately, he was feeling under the weather.
Okay.
Won't be here.
All right. Okay, so 7 o'clock, and you call the meeting to order. First off, I'm going to take attendance. Councillor Cross.
Present.
Councillor Shipman.
Here.
Ms. Brooker.
Here.
And Mr. Castelline.
Here.
Okay. First item on the agenda is an addition to the agenda is 1A. It's a resolution to modify or amend the agenda this evening. So I'm going to need a mover and a seconder for this. Councillor Cross, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. And Councillor Shipman, can you second it, please?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So you'll see below the text that is bolded is the addition from the previous version we saw earlier. So I'll read it and then we can discuss it further. Okay, so this is the amendment to the December 14th, 2021 agenda that I'm proposing. 1A, Municipality of Calvin. 11, as per section 239, 3.1, for the purpose of education and training, re-council's role and legal obligations as an employer. Section 239, 2B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including a municipal or local board employee. And 2D, labor relations or employee negotiations, to discuss performance expectations, wages, and negotiation of an employee contract with a clerk treasurer. Section 239 2E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. And Section 239 2K, a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or behalf of the municipality or local board, Stewart's Road. So any discussion, Councillor Cross?
No discussion.
Councillor Shipham?
No discussion.
Okay, so I'm going to call a vote to have the agenda amended in this regard. Councillor Cross, do you vote yes or no to accept this amendment?
Yes.
Councillor Shipman, do you vote yes or no to accept this amendment?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well, so this resolution is carried and the agenda is amended as we just voted on. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is written disclosure of pecuniary conflict of interest. Councillor Cross, do you have any written disclosure of pecuniary conflict of interest?
No, I don't.
Councillor Shipham?
No, I don't.
Ms. Brooker?
No, I don't.
And Mr. Castelline?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is petitions and delegations. We have two tonight. The first one is Mr. Dean Grant, and it's concerning a road use agreement. Mr. Grant, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yep.
Okay, well, we'll get right into it. I'd like to thank, I'd like to congratulate the two new counselors as well before I start on their successful positions. And I wish you the best of luck as well. I think that there's exciting times ahead. I'd start by saying, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Dean Grant, and my parents asked me to help them out. My parents are could not be in front of council tonight because of health issues. So I have prepared a little something that I'll go through, and then hopefully we can have a discussion at the end. My parents decided in good faith it would be best to enter into negotiations with the municipality on a road agreement for this winter. This decision was made in an effort to calm tensions that are growing between some of the residents of the community over this issue. It would show leadership if the municipality would work to de-escalate as well. Both our private lawyer and the municipal lawyers that we paid for have commented that there's legal precedent in this means there's no legal requirement to be in a road agreement, and we cannot be forced into one arbitrarily. The residents of Stewart's Road have a legal right to access their homes. We sent a copy of a road agreement to council on October 21st. The individual councillors made a few comments and immediately ignored the agreement sent in and voted to pass a different agreement they created without any of our concerns being considered or discussed. The municipality never asked us for any input on the agreement they passed. There's never any negotiations or discussions with us. In fact, the only communication between the municipality and my parents was one email on November 24th saying, "Here's your agreement, sign it." Yesterday, the OPP showed up at my house looking for Kevin. This is the second time the municipality has tried to use the police. It is very troubling that the police were called to ask us if there were any changes to this agreement, could we get them done in this meeting so they didn't have to come back and charge us with trespassing? Did the municipality feel it was appropriate to use the police? This is not what negotiating in good faith looks like. How much money did this cost ratepayers? Thousands wasted when an email or a phone call would have saved a lot of money. When the municipality thinks using the police as a mediator to do their job is a good idea, everyone loses. This is what happens with leadership. The public needs to be asking why police are being used. Is this appropriate use of taxpayer funds? Is council aware of exactly what this costs? My parents are left wondering, what will the municipality do next? Continue to call the police, hire more lawyers, or maybe just leave us alone? Some staff and councillors blame us for the issue with the road. The municipality issued us a permanent occupancy, and now they have to deal with it. We have never misled or lied to the municipality about our home. The truth, they own and control the road. This is 100% a municipal issue, not caused by the grants. The municipality is in control. Council decides how much more money the municipality wastes. It is wrong, not true, to blame a ratepayer for that wasted money. The whole thing is confusing at best as to why council let this issue divide residents and get so out of control. We can only hope, with the help of new councillors at the very least, that the municipality will stop fueling the fire. Do not let them tell you expensive upgrades are legally required. This is not true. The municipality is in full control of the designation and the minimum construction standards of their roads. The road superintendent currently has the power to end this issue. If he chooses not to, the council can simply pass one resolution and we can all move on with our lives and focus on bigger and more serious issues that ratepayers face. It is in the interest of all the money time on Stewart's Road and focus on actual important issues. If you don't take anything else away from what I've said here tonight, I want this to be the takeaway. Can anyone sitting here on council tell me the exact dollar amount this municipality has spent on lawyers fighting the residents of Stewart's Road, your ratepayers, and your neighbors? I would bet that not one of you has this figure. Everyone is tired of hearing about Stewart's Road. Ratepayers are exhausted. They do not want to waste more money on this tiny stretch of road. So I offer two easy solutions that are available to you. One, do nothing. just leave it alone and allow residents of Stewart's Road to do the maintenance they've been doing for a decade now. 2, just drive the plow up and down the road as it is. No fancy upgrades needed. This can be done at the discretion of the road superintendent or by resolution of council. Thank you for your attention. I'm more than willing to talk with any council or member of the public that's interested in knowing more background. You can reach out to me. My email is deangrant705@gmail.com. We need far more transparency on this issue. The grants my parents are completely against closed door meetings. We have nothing to hide. We like everything to be open and public. And I'm definitely available. I strongly encourage discussion and communication because that's what we need to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Grant. Our next item on the agenda is...
Is there any questions, Mayor Pennell?
No, you were given an opportunity to submit your questions prior to the meeting, so we had had time to develop the answers, and you did not do that. You're
Mayor Pennell, it's procedural bylaw that every individual council is asked if they have a question. It's actually procedural bylaw. Councilors have an opportunity to ask questions if they choose.
Do you want to ask any questions, Councillor Cross?
No questions.
Councillor Shipham?
No question.
Okay, you're finished, Mr. Grant. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
thank you. Too bad we couldn't have a discussion. Thank you.
Bye. Next item on the agenda is a presentation by Expertise for Municipality, E4M. And I believe Peggy from there is with us tonight. So welcome, Peggy.
Good evening, Your Worship and members of council. Just take a second here for my camera to catch up. So this evening, Council, I wanted to just to give you an update about the HR policies. Just to remind you, E4M is working with a number of municipalities to prepare what we started out with 38 policies on our list. And as we started to go through these policies and look for best practices across the municipal realm in Ontario and outside of Ontario, what we started to realize is that most of the policies out there are drafted after a private sector model. And that model doesn't necessarily work well for municipalities. And so we have drafted a bylaw that would be passed by council, setting because council is a government, and the draft will be distributed to all of you to take a look at. And then at a future meeting, we would like to actually do training on it in an open council session so that the community can also understand the differences between what you would normally see in the private sector and what you would be looking at in a go forward strategy for these municipalities that are involved in our approach. And one of the things that I want council to recognize when you're reading this document is that it's law. That what you do when you pass the bylaw is you are enacting law. And I want you to remember what it's like when you read some pieces of legislation that have been established by the province. For example, in the Municipal Act, it says that you must have a municipal clerk and that the clerk may be an employee of the municipality. It doesn't give you qualifications for the clerk. It doesn't tell you that how to hire a clerk. It doesn't tell you any kind of individual direction. It is setting law. So the law says you have to have a clerk. So when you look at this bylaw, this is how it's been drafted. And it's based on the employee life cycle. And it's looking at an approach that is respectful of the entirety of the life cycle is kind of a term HR people are using these days, but what it talks about is it talks about what we call also the cradle to the grave. So the idea that the person is coming into the municipal world and you're recruiting them, you're attracting them to your your place of work, and then right up to retirement. And it kind of goes through the gambit of that. And all of the 38 policies, with the exception of the workplace harassment and the staff council relations policy, are encompassed in this overarching document. And then it would be the responsibility of the staff to develop the guidelines or protocols to ensure that these policies, or that this law, is implemented. So we will be asking for council to, in the next 2 weeks, review it and provide us with feedback. And once we get feedback from all of the councils, we will do some modifications. Some municipalities will have to tweak a little bit to deal with certain things like vacation and things that you've already got in place that you may not want to touch. And then after that, we're hoping that we can get council trained on it early in the new year. So unless there's any questions, Your Worship.
Any questions, anyone? No, I'm good. Okay, thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Have a good evening. Thank you for the presentation. Okay, our next item on the agenda is number 4, and it's reports from municipal officers. First person listed is Chris Wally, road superintendent. There is a report that was developed by Chris, and it was in our council package. It spoke about the garage and working on bridges and the old furnace and siding and new roof and all that sort of stuff. Is there anything in there that anyone would like to ask a question about that could be sent back to Chris? Councillor Cross?
No, I have no questions. I just thought mentioning that the Public Works garage looks great. I saw the new sign that was put out in front about the grant, and I think it's going to save money in the long run, and it didn't cost the taxpayers anything. So really happy about that. And I also thought the last one with the beavers, with letting the gentleman who just required his trapping license, what a great way to use resources to help with issues within the municipality. That's all pretty much I had to say.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Shipman, anything?
No, I have nothing.
Okay. I'm going to move on until you guys are actually councillors, okay? I'm not trying to be rude or anything like that at all. Okay, so next report is from Dean Maxwell, our fire chief. Dean, do you have something for us this evening?
Yeah, can everybody hear me fine there?
Yes.
Right on. Okay, so for the month of November, what's that?
I said wall to wall and treetop tall.
Yeah. So for the month of November, we had 2 calls. On November 17th, received a possible carbon monoxide leak. We went to the residence home on Peaceful Lane. We ran our new gas detectors that we received from TransCanada Energy, and we let them soak in the house for 20 minutes. There was no gas detected. We were probably on scene for a little over 45 minutes, and we did a sweep and everything was good. On November 26th, we had an MVC on Highway 17, just west of 630 by Fincey Bay. There was a car rollover. The patient was out of the vehicle when we showed up on scene. Unfortunately, 2 of her pets had passed in this accident. There was no execution needed on this. We ended up doing traffic control for a little over 2 hours to clean up the scene. We did traffic control for the OPP while they did the tow truck and dealt with the ambulance and the patient as well. So we were total on time there, about 3 hours on that call. For meeting nights on November 4th, we had a Firefighters Association meeting, and we did some cleaning up here at the fire hall, tidying up and stuff. On November 11th, we did some BA drills inside here. So we do a speed test where all the guys go through the BAs. We have to build a dawn or BAs in under a minute. So the guys like doing stuff like that on meeting nights. On November 18th, we did portable pump training. And again, we're down at Smith Lake. We take the pumps down there and we run all our pumps. So we have, each tanker has 2 portable pumps. So we like to make sure that they're going to be running and everything's running smooth. On November 25th, I did an obstacle course inside of the fire hall here, which consists of donning BAs, doing up fire hoses, stretching out fire lines, hooking up the Auto X, JAWS, and doing like a skill thing with them. And then we also did where we threw a rescue line for ice and water rescue. So for fleet report, there's been some delays in pumper. What ended up happening was Ontario, I want to explain this right. The ministry where you go to do your registration is run privately. And but the law states that a Manitoba safety is good in Ontario, but they didn't want to accept it. So rather than fighting with them over what was acceptable, he just took it into international in Sudbury, Fort Garry did. So it went in for another safety where they found, I'm not sure exactly how many things they found, but I think it was around 5 things they found. And right now we're waiting for the muffler. Apparently there is a muffler is on back order because of COVID, or I don't think it's on back order, but it's just being held up. It's taking a little longer than usual. I am expecting to hear this week about it. It should be ready this week, hopefully. I'm hoping this issue isn't going to get dragged on because of they're having a hard time getting parts right now for everything apparently. So hopefully this doesn't drag on into the new year. The Calvin Fire Department, we went to the Mattawa Firefighters Parade of Lights. I took myself and 5 other guys, our pumper and rescue unit. We participated in Mattawa's parade. It was a good parade. I'd like to thank the Mattawa Fire Department for inviting us to their parade. It was very well organized, and I think everybody really enjoyed it this year. It was something different. The parade was about 7 kilometers long, I think, just under 7. So it was a little longer. It was a different route this year. So, but with COVID being a longer route, it actually ended up working out well because everybody could space out a little bit more than usual instead of everybody packing up on Main Street. But that being said, that's all I have for tonight. Any questions?
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Any questions, Councillor Cross?
Yes, I'm curious to know with the them finding a few things on the pumper, who is paying the bill to have these things fixed for the certification?
Yeah, so the good news is Fort Garry is flipping the bill. They found like 5 little things. I know what some of the things are. One was one of the power steering reservoir had a leak, so they put a new one on. I guess obviously the muffler might not have been up to their standards. There was a crack in the turbo hose, like a little weather check, so they made them change turbo hose, so stuff like that. So in the long run, it is beneficial to us because they really went through this truck, even International did. So it was even better for us because we're going to get, I bet you our bill's probably up there. But I tried to call down there myself to get more information about it. And they were quite adamant about third parties being involved in the truck and that I'm not paying the bill and that they wouldn't talk to me. So I've been talking direct with Bob Locke, and I talked to him yesterday and expressed my more discomfort in the situation, trying to be as nice as possible, but at the same time be firm and, just that he told us it was ready to go and, there was all this wrong with it. I know we're getting all this work done for free, but at the same time, you know what? We want our truck, right? They got their money and we want our truck. So unfortunately, it's out of my hands. I can't really do much, and I'm doing what I can do.
No, that's good. It's just, sometimes, we may overlook things or think that we can just accept, certification from a different province. And it ends up being, no, you have to follow the certain guidelines and go through the hoops like everybody else. And in the long run, it worked out in our benefit, because then that way you didn't have to pay for any of that. So that's a good thing. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think it, like, because they're all privately owned, and I actually honestly believe because they were even talking about the fire truck they were asking for an emissions test. And I know for a fact that all fire trucks are exempted from fire emissions. So, but like you said, in this case, it actually worked out for us, because I bet you the bill's got to be up there. So hopefully, you know what, this is going to pay out for us in the long run as well. So.
Any questions, Councillor Shiplin?
No question.
I'm going to move on one more time. Next item here is a written report from Shane Conrad, our Chief Building Official, over what's happened during the month of November. Looks like there was one new permit issued for a porch and a deck, value of $10,000. That's good news. People are still building. All right. Next item on the agenda is action letters, A1. And it's, I just want to do an opening remark before we move on. So before we proceed tonight, I would like to assure the public that I, along with Councillor Cross and Councillor Shippen, have and will continue to act in the best interest of the municipality of Calvin. This was again recently illustrated by passing Resolution 2021-267 in order to fill 2 vacant council seats. Our decision resulted in a large financial savings to the municipality by avoiding a costly by-election so close to the upcoming municipal election in 2022. Tonight we have 2 new individuals before us who have consented to accept their appointments to the municipality of Calvin Council for the remainder of this term. We will all represent all electors and not our own personal interests or personal agendas. We acknowledge that the public is entitled to expect the highest standards of conduct from those of us who represent them at the council table. We recognize that as a member of council, it is not only our duty to be well informed and prepared for council meetings, it is also our duty to be respectful of each other and the decisions we make. We need to be mindful of the fact that from time to time we are required to make tough decisions which may not be popular with everyone. At this time, we will proceed with the remainder of tonight's meeting and the official resolution to appoint our 2 new council members. So, Cindy, I believe you have an oath of office to administer.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pennell. So, Ms. Brooker, would you mind reading your declaration of office, please?
Sure. I, Kim Brooker, having been elected or appointed to the office of councillor in the municipality of Calvin, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or in any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. And I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously, believing it to be true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
Thank you very much. Mr. Castelline, would you mind reading your oath, please?
I, Bart Castelline, having been appointed to the office of councillor in the municipality of Calvin, Ontario, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or in any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. And I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously believing it to be true, knowing that it has the same force and effect as it made under oath.
Thank you. All right, thank you. So our next item on the agenda is item A. It's bylaw number 2021-035, and it's a bylaw to appoint a vacancy on council. So I'm going to need a mover and a seconder for the first reading. So Councillor Shipman, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
And Councillor Cross, can you second it, please?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so we have the first reading of this bylaw, moved by Councillor Shipman, second by Councillor Cross, being a bylaw to confirm the appointment of two people to fulfill two vacancies on council. Is there any discussion, Councillor Shipman?
No discussion.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Cross?
No discussion.
Okay, so I'm going to call the first reading to a vote. Councillor Cross? Do you vote yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
Councillor Shipman, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
I just want to clarify here, Cindy. Does Councillor Brooker and Councillor Castelline vote on this?
Yes, they've taken their oath, so it's a bylaw.
Okay. Good enough. Councillor Brooker, how do you vote?
You're on mute.
Sorry about that. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And Councillor Castelline?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well, so the first reading is passed. Okay, so I'll need a mover and a seconder for the second reading. So Councillor Brooker, can I get you to move this one, please?
Yes.
And Councillor Castelline, can I get you to second this one, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. So we have the second reading, moved by Councillor Brooker and second by Councillor Castelline. A bylaw to confirm the appointment of two people to fill two vacancies on council. This is a second reading. Any discussion, Councillor Castelline?
No discussion.
Councillor, who we got next here? Councillor Brooker.
No discussion.
Councillor Cross?
No discussion.
And Councillor Shipman?
No discussion.
Okay, so I'm going to call the second reading to a vote then. Councillor Brooker, do you vote yes or no to accept the second reading?
Yes.
Okay, and Councillor Cross, do you vote yes or no to accept the second reading?
Yes.
Councillor Castelline, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
And Councillor Shipman, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well, so the second reading is carried as well. I'll need a mover and a seconder for the third reading. Councillor Cross, can I get you to second this one, please?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. And Councillor Shipman, can I get you to second this one, please?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Okay, so the third reading is moved by Councillor Cross and second by Councillor Shipman. Any discussion? Councillor Castelline?
No discussion, just a statement that I'm honored to fulfill this position, and I thank council for selecting me.
Thank you. Councillor Brooker, any discussion?
No discussion.
Okay, Councillor Cross
No discussion.
and Councillor Shipman?
No discussion.
Okay, so I'm going to call a third reading to a vote. Councillor Brooker, do you vote yes or no to accept the third reading?
Yes.
Councillor Cross, do you vote yes or no to accept the third reading?
Yes.
Councillor Castelline, do you vote yes or no to accept the third reading?
Yes.
And Councillor Shipman, do you vote yes or no to accept the third reading?
Yes.
I vote yes as well, so this bylaw is carried. Thank you very much, everyone. Agreement transfer. Okay, next item on the agenda is B. And it's adopt the minutes of Tuesday, November the 3rd, 2021. And those meetings were in your council package. So I'll need a mover and a seconder to move this resolution, please. So Councillor Castelling, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. And Councillor Brooker, can you second it, please?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. So we have this resolution moved by Councillor Castelline and seconded by Councillor Brooker, that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on Tuesday, November 23rd, 2021 be hereby adopted and signed as circulated. Any discussion? Councillor Brooker,
No discussion.
Councillor Cross,
No discussion.
Councillor Castelline,
No discussion.
and Councillor Shipham.
No discussion.
Okay, so I'm going to call this resolution to a vote. Councillor Brooker, do you vote yes or no to accept this resolution?
Yes.
Councillor Cross, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Councillor Castellane, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
And Councillor Shipham, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. So this resolution is carried. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is C. It's a resolution to adopt the minutes of Tuesday, December the 7th, 2021. And we have a resolution for this one as well. So I'm going to need a mover and a seconder for this. Councillor Shipman, can you move this one?
Yes, I can.
Councillor Brooker, can you second this one, please?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. So we have this resolution moved by Councillor Shipman, seconded by Councillor Brooker, that the minutes of the special meeting of council held on Tuesday, December 7th, 2021 be hereby adopted and signed as circulated. Any discussion? Councillor Cross?
No discussion.
Councillor Shipham?
No discussion.
Councillor Brooker?
No discussion.
Councillor Castelline?
No discussion.
Okay, so I'm going to bring this resolution to a vote. Councillor Brooker, do you vote that the minutes of the special meeting of council on Tuesday, 17th be hereby adopted and signed as circulated?
Yes, I do.
Councillor Cross?
Yes.
Councillor Castelline?
Yes.
And Councillor Shipham?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So this resolution is carried as well. Thank you very much. So our next item on the agenda is D. It's a bylaw 2021-034. And it's an agreement that we had discussed at prior meetings between the Township of Chisholm, Bonfield, and the municipalities of East Ferris and Calvin for bylaw enforcement. Do we have that bylaw, please, Cindy? So at previous meetings, first and second readings were carried. This meeting here, we have the third reading before us. So I'm going to need a mover and a seconder for this one, please. So Councillor Castelline, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
And Councillor Cross, could you second this one, please?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So we have the third reading of this bylaw, moved by Councillor Castelline, seconded by Councillor Cross, being a bylaw to enter into agreement with the Township of Chisholm, Township of Blondfield, and Papineau-Cameron, and the municipalities of Calvin and East Ferris for the enforcement of municipal bylaws. Okay. Any discussion on this? Councillor Brooker,
No discussion.
Councillor Shipham,
No discussion.
Councillor Cross,
No, just a comment that I hope this helps free up some time for other things to get done. And looking forward to seeing somebody working on the bylaws and getting the education that is needed to enforce everything. That's all.
Councillor Castelline, any comments?
Yeah, just a comment. I think it is a wonderful opportunity to have a designated municipal law enforcement officer. Calvin is involved also in other partnerships with neighboring municipalities. And I think Calvin should grab such opportunities anytime they come up.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to call the third reading to a vote. Councillor Brooker, do you vote to, are you in agreement to the third reading? Yes or no?
Yes, I am.
Yes, you said yes?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I didn't hear you, sorry.
Sorry.
Councillor Cross, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
And Councillor Castelline, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
And Councillor Shipham, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. So this bylaw is carried as well. Thank you very much, everyone. Okay. Next item on the agenda is item E under action letters. And it's a resolution to appoint a member of Papineau-Cameron Council to the Castellon Board of Management. So I'll need a mover and a seconder to do this. Councillor Cross, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
And Councillor Shipham, can you second it, please?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So we have this resolution moved by Councillor Cross, second by Councillor Shipham. And it says, whereas the Council of the Township of Papineau-Cameron has been requested to represent the Township of Papineau-Cameron and South Algonquin, Municipality of Calvin, and the Town of Mattawa on the Castellon Board of Directors for the remainder of the term of Castlehome. Now therefore be it resolved that Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Calvin fully supports a member of the Township of Papineau-Cameron Council being appointed to the Castellon Board of Directors for the remainder of the term. So I just want to explain why it's Papineau-Cameron. There's four groups, four municipalities in this group, and they are next on the list to be that member. Okay, on the planning board, board of directors. Sorry. So any discussion on this, Councillor Cross?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I'm glad you mentioned that because I thought it would be important for our ratepayers to understand that we take a rotation on who's on the board. We can't have one member from each municipality, so we've always taken turns, and because Dean Backer has resigned, it was Papineau-Cameron's turn. And I think it's very important that since we have the situation that we're in, that we do have a strong representative in there to make sure that things are being said that need to be said. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Shipham?
No, I have nothing.
Okay. Councillor Castelline?
Just one question. Do we know who is given up his or her name to be on the board?
Not at this time, no. I believe they're going to
Okay.
be determining that at their council meeting, and that might even be tonight.
Okay.
Councillor Brooker? Any questions or comments?
No, none.
No? Okay. So I'm going to call this resolution to a vote. Councillor Brooker, do you vote to accept this resolution?
Yes, I do.
Councillor Cross, do you vote to accept this resolution?
Yes, I do.
Councillor Castelline, do you vote to
Yes.
accept this resolution?
Yes.
And Councillor Shipham,
Yes.
and I do as well. So this resolution is carried. Thank you again, everyone. So the next item on the agenda is item F, and it's conditional support of borrowing sums necessary to meet the capital costs of a building of Castle Home. Conditional on review and transition of the Castle Home from a territorial home to a municipal home for the city of North Bay. So as most of you are aware, or all of you are probably aware, the Ministry of Long-Term Care gave Castle Home the approval to move forward with their build as they had proposed, and have the municipalities pay for that build. Okay, so we don't have a choice to do this. All right, we have to move ahead. Our best financing option is Infrastructure Ontario. Okay. So I'm going to get a mover and a second for this, and I'm going to read it. And then if there's any discussion, I might be able to provide you, well, Cindy and I might be able to provide you with what information we have. So mover and a seconder, Councillor Castelline, can I get you to move this, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. And Councillor Brooker, can you second it, please?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. So we have this resolution moved by Councillor Castelline, seconded by Councillor Brooker. Whereas the Board of Management for the District of Nipissing East has selected a general contractor for the redevelopment of Castle Home, and whereas the Province of Ontario will guarantee the Provincial Construction Fund subsidy, whereby removing this obligation of the member municipalities, and whereas the Minister of Long-Term Care on November the 29th provided conditional approval for the Board of Management for the District of Nipissing East to secure a general contractor and proceed with construction, and whereas Section 127.3 of the Long-Term Care Homes Act, 2007, FO 2007, Chapter 8, the Act, provides as follows. Power of district homes to borrow for capital costs, 127.3, in circumstances prescribed by regulation and subject to any restrictions or requirements that may be prescribed by regulation, a board that meets the prescribed requirements may borrow such sums as the board considers necessary to meet the capital costs it estimates under Section 1. And whereas subsection 294.2 of Ontario Regulation 79-10, the Act provides as follows. Capital cost 294.2. For the purpose of subsection 127.3 of the Act, the Board may borrow such sums as the Board considers necessary to meet capital costs it estimates under subsection 1 of that section of either the following circumstances. 1. Every supporting municipality of the Board has passed a resolution that 1. Supports such borrowing by the Board, and 2. Acknowledges that any repayments on the borrowed sums of the Board is required to make that are not covered by the available current revenues of the board are subject to apportionment to supporting municipalities under subsection 126(1) of the Act. Or 2, the board is refinancing existing debt. And whereas the Corporation of the Municipality of Calvin wishes to pass a resolution that supports the borrowing by the Board of Management for the District of Nipissing East, the Corporation of the Municipality of Calvin hereby resolves as follows. Excuse me. 1, provided that and conditional upon the Board of Management for the District of Nipissing East irrevocably and unconditionally resolving, covenanting, and agreeing in writing to execute and deliver such further and other agreements, assurances, undertakings, acknowledgements, or documents, cause such meetings to be held, resolutions passed, and bylaws enacted, exercise their vote and influence, and do to perform and cause to be done and performed any further and other acts and things as may be necessary or desirable in order for the review and transition of Castle Home from a territorial district home established and maintained under the Board of Management to a municipal home to be maintained by the Corporation of the City of North Bay. Then, in accordance with subsection 294(2) of the Ontario Regulation 79.10-10 to the Act, the Corporation Municipality of Calvin shall be resolved that support the Board of Management for the District of Nipissing East borrowing such sums as the Board considers necessary to meet the capital costs it estimates under subsection 127(1) of the Act for the redevelopment of Castle Home, and 2, acknowledge that any repayments on the borrowed sums that the Board is required to make that are not covered by the available current revenues of the Board are subject to apportionment to supporting municipalities under subsection 126(1) of the Act. And B, the Corporation of the Municipality of Calvin shall resolve to enter into a guarantee with Ontario Infrastructure and Lands Corporation on terms and conditions satisfactory to the Corporation of the Municipality of Calvin in its sole and absolute discretion to undertake and agree to guarantee the Corporation of the Municipality of Calvin's proportionate contribution of the Board of Management for the District of Nipissing East debts, liabilities, and obligations, present or future, direct or indirect, absolute or contingent, at any time or from time to time due or accruing, due and owing by or otherwise payable by the Board of Management for the District of Nipissing East to Ontario Infrastructure and Lands Corporation that relate to the redevelopment of Castle Home. 2, that a copy of this resolution be sent to the Board of Management for the District of Nipissing East and all member municipalities listed in Schedule 4 of Ontario Regulation 79/10. Minister of Long-Term Care Rod Phillips, Minister of Health Christine Elliott, MPP Vic Fidelli, and MPP John Yakabushi. John Yakabushi is the MPP for Algonquin South. Any discussion? Councillor Foss.
That was a lot of words there.
Legalism.
I think it's important. Yeah, and a lot of it's very legal, and maybe some of it is a little bit hard to understand. I think it's important that everybody realizes that we've been paying into Castle Home for over 75 years, that we weren't just going to be able to walk away free and clear. Wasn't ever going to be able to do that. This is the best thing for our municipality. Well, not the best, but close to it. And that this agreement is that we're agreeing that in the end that the North Bay City is taking over Castle Home. I may have worded that wrong, but I think it's important that the ratepayers are understanding that it's the best that we can do. So that's all.
Councillor Shippen, any comments?
No, I think Councillor Cross has pretty much put it all out there. There's we were never ever going to be able to just totally walk away free and clear. So this is the best that we can hope for right now.
Councillor Castellan?
Yes, I have something to say, of course, about it. You said it is the best solution. I think it is the only solution that we have, meaning that we cannot pay extremely large sums because we just don't have it. Neither can we find a borrower to lend it to us. Secondly, it gives us a chance to concentrate on the Algonquin nursing home in a few years from now, when North Bay takes over Castle Home. That means that we would not be anymore responsible for their operating costs. Currently, we are paying $51,000 a year for operating costs to Castle Home, and that money in 2 or 3 years can then be redesignated to pay off that mortgage that we are committing to with the Infrastructure Ontario. That means that during the construction phase, we pay operating costs and we pay mortgage. But I think with the article that I found in the Mattawa Recorder, that the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund is increasing the amount that they are sending to Kelvin, that would help pay for the construction costs that we are committing to. So I think this resolution is really the only option that Kelvin has. Not necessarily the best one, but it's the only one. And it is not as dramatic as we all thought in the beginning, when we heard amounts of close to $500,000 this year and more than $250,000 next year. That would not work for Kelvin. So going with Infrastructure Ontario and paying it back over 25 years. Yes, we are paying for a building that we will never own, but c'est la vie. And that's my 2 cents worth.
Do you have anything to offer, Councillor Brooker?
Not a whole lot more than what has already been said, but it does seem like a very complicated situation. And after doing research and listening to the comments, I agree that the resolution is probably the best that can be done.
Thank you. I just got a couple other things I want to interject. It's not going to change the outcome of anything. I just want to say this was the only option we had. There wasn't any other options, right? And the only options we would have had was to look for different financing options, and all the rest of them were way above what Infrastructure Ontario are offering us. We discussed other options, possible options, and we tried doing things, but in the long run, we weren't successful. We don't know yet what the terms are with Infrastructure Ontario or their conditions, but they'll be better than they would have been with any other financial institute. Castle Home has told us in the past that as the construction proceeds, the operating costs will decrease to the point where they said there possibly wouldn't be any in 4 years. So that's, it's a wish and a prayer, but it's still possible good news. And if we are successful with the City of North Bay taking it over and making it a city home, I think that'll prove very positive for ourselves and other municipalities as well. All right, so I'm going to have to call for a vote on passing this resolution. So, Councillor Brooker, do you vote yes or no to pass this resolution?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Cross, do you vote yes or no to pass this resolution?
Yes.
Councillor Castellan, do you vote yes or no on passing this resolution?
Yes.
And Councillor Shipman, do you vote yes or no to pass this resolution?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. So this resolution is carried. Thank you for your understanding and just thank you. It's not a good thing, but better than some of our options were. All right. Excuse me. Nobody's got a hand up? Okay. Next item on the agenda is item G, and it's Municipality of Calvin landfill, and it's results of request for quotations for for an RFQ we put out for well monitoring. So I'll need a mover and a seconder for this, please. So Councillor Shipman, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. And Councillor Brooker, can you second this one, please?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. So we have this resolution moved by Councillor Shipman, seconded by Councillor Brooker, that Councillor acknowledges the following bids were received for RFQ request for quote CAL 2021-03 for the 2022-2023 well monitoring and roofing. So I'm going to pass this over to Cindy now to advise us of what the results were.
Okay, so we received a response from EXP Services, Inc. And grand total price is $21,776.
Is that per year, Cindy? I'm thinking it is, but
Without reading the entire document, which I can't do right at the moment, I don't know for sure. I'm just going by
pretty sure it is.
that's the grand total price.
Yeah, okay.
Next, we have a response from Pension Inc. Oh, sorry, Pension Limited. And their grand total price is $25,752.70. Next is Story Environmental. Their cost estimate is $35,100. Fourth is A&A Environmental Consultants. price of $51,001.60. Fifth is BST Consulting Engineers. Price of $22,000 or $22,900. And sixth of night sold. Limited. Price of $39,324. And those are the 6 responses that we've received.
And we use one of those companies now?
Yes, we do. We use Knight Peasold at the moment.
All right. So now this is going to go back to staff to review the submission on the merit point evaluation system that was outlined in the RFQ. So I'll need a, okay, so I guess it's open to discussion. Councillor Cross, anything to offer?
Will the staff be coming back with a recommendation of who to go with? Okay, because I know that the price from the company that has been doing it, they had said it was going to go up significantly, and this is why we were looking at possibly looking at other companies. It's to sit here and look at numbers and with the names, it's extremely hard to try to come up with some sort of evaluation of which one to pick from. So definitely needing the staff to be looking at how long these companies have been in business for. Is there any type of recommendations or what do you call that when you go and look for if somebody's got a bad review or those things are pretty important. I don't want to just go with the cheapest person. We have failed in the past sometimes with taking that approach. I want to go with the most reputable and obviously cost efficient company. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah, that'll be staff's responsibility. Councillor Shipman, any comments?
No, I'm sure the staff will make a decision based on the best value for our dollar, and we'll have a discussion then.
All right, Councillor Castellan?
No further discussions on this. I agree. Staff will do a superb job, I'm sure.
Thank you. Councillor Brooker?
I have no discussion.
Okay, thank you. one open for a vote, Cindy? So I'm gonna call for a vote then on whether, we leave this for the staff to, recommend and make a recommendation, to us. So Councillor Brooker, do you vote, for them to do that?
Yes, I do.
Councillor Cross, do you vote for them to do that?
Yes.
Councillor Castellane, do you vote for them to do that?
Yes.
Okay. And, Councillor Shipman?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So thank you. I'm sure, we'll get a good report. So the next item on the agenda is H, and it is bylaw 2021-037. And it is a bylaw to adopt a strategic plan for the years 2022 to 2026. Okay. Excuse me. So at the previous meeting, we discussed this, and so now it's back on the table to as a bylaw to discuss further and hopefully pass. So I'll need a mover and a seconder for the first reading. So Councillor Castellane, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. And Councillor Cross, could you second it, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. So we have this first reading, moved by Councillor Castellane and seconded by Councillor Cross, of a bylaw to adopt a strategic plan for the years 2022 to 2026. Any discussion? Councillor Brooker.
No discussion, although I would like to say, reading through it, I just love the vision and the mission statement that are part of the strategic plan, and I have no discussion.
Thank you. Councillor Cross?
No, I really like what we've worked out here, and I can't wait till we start implementing it. And that's pretty much it.
Okay. Councillor Castellane?
Yeah, it's a great strategic plan. Also, I noticed that many of the items in the strategic plan is already acted upon. It's just a matter of finishing them up, and I think we are on the right track.
Thank you for that. Councillor Shipham?
No, I'm happy with what we have here.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to call for a vote on the first reading. Councillor Brooker, are you in favor to adopt the first reading on the strategic plan?
Yes, I am.
And Councillor Cross, are you in favor?
Yes.
And Councillor Castellane, are you in favor?
Yes, I am.
And Councillor Shipman, are you in favor?
Yes.
And I am as well. Thank you. So we're going to look at reading, second reading now. I'll need a mover and a seconder for that. So Councillor Cross, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
And Councillor Castellane, can you second this one, please?
Yes, I can.
So on the second reading, we have, it's moved by Councillor Cross and seconded by Councillor Castellane. And this is the second reading to adopt a strategic plan for the years 2022 to 2026. Is there any discussion this time, Councillor Brooker?
No discussion.
Councillor Cross?
No discussion.
Councillor Castellane?
No further discussion.
And Councillor Shipman?
No discussion.
Okay, so I'm going to call the second reading for a vote. Councillor Brooker, do you vote to accept the second reading? Yes or no?
Yes.
Councillor Cross, are you accepting of the second reading? Yes or no?
Yes.
Counselor Castelline, are you in acceptance of the second reading?
Yes.
And Counselor Shipman?
Yes.
And I am as well, so the second reading is passed as well. Okay. Next item on the agenda is bylaw number 2021-036. It's a bylaw to amend the appointed members to the Committee of Adjustment. And this is because we have new members on council, okay? So I'm going to need a mover and a seconder for this, okay? So Councillor Shipman, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
And Councillor Brooker, can you second it, please?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so the first reading of this bylaw to amend our appointed members to the Committee of Adjustment is moved by Councillor Shipman and seconded by Councillor Brooker. Is there any discussion? Councillor Brooker.
No discussion.
Councillor Cross.
No discussion.
Councillor Castelline.
No discussion.
And Councillor Shipman.
No discussion.
Okay, so I'm going to call the first reading to a vote. Councillor Brooker, are you accepting of this bylaw to amend the appointed members to the Committee of Adjustment for the Municipality of Calvin?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Cross?
Yes.
Councillor Castelline?
Yes.
And Councillor Shipman?
Yes.
And I am as well. So the first reading is carried. Then we're going to move on to the second reading. So I'm going to need a mover and a seconder for this as well. So Councillor Brooker, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. And Councillor Cross, can you second it, please?
Yes, I will.
Okay, so the second reading of this bylaw to appoint members to the Committee of Adjustment for the municipality is moved by Councillor Brooker and seconded by Councillor Cross. Any discussion on this reading? Councillor Brooker.
No discussion.
Councillor Cross.
No discussion.
Councillor Castelline
No discussion.
and Councillor Shipman.
No discussion.
Okay, so I'm going to call a vote on the second reading of this bylaw to amend our appointed members to the Committee of Adjustment. Councillor Brooker, do you vote to proceed, yes or no?
Yes.
Councillor Cross, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Councillor Castelline, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
And Councillor Shipman, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. I vote yes as well. So the second reading is carried. Okay. We might as well do the third reading because we need to have these members on the Committee of Adjustment. So I need a mover and a seconder for a third reading. So Councillor Shipman, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
And Councillor Castelline, can you second it, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. So the third reading, we have it moved by Councillor Shipman and seconded by Councillor Castelline of this bylaw to amend the appointed members to the Committee of Adjustment for the Municipality of Calvin. Any discussion on the third reading? Councillor Brooker.
No discussion.
Councillor Cross.
No discussion.
Councillor Castelline.
No discussion.
Councillor Shipman.
No discussion.
Okay, so I'm going to call for a vote on the third reading. Councillor Brooker, do you vote to proceed, yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Cross, do you vote to proceed?
Yes.
Councillor Castelline, do you vote to proceed with the third reading?
Yes.
And Councillor Shipman, do you vote to accept the third reading?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So third reading and this bylaw is carried. Thank you. And emergency control. Okay, so in our council package, there was a report from our emergency control group meeting the other night. Everyone had a chance to go through that one? Any thing in there that anybody saw they'd like to bring up or discuss? Councillor Foss.
No, nothing.
Okay, Councillor Shipman.
No, nothing.
Okay, Councillor Castelline.
No.
Councillor Brooker.
No discussion.
Okay, thank you. I think our next meeting is February? February, I think. February the 9th, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Next item on the agenda is item K. It's a report from the clerk treasurer, and it's 2021 C264 report to council on a confirmatory bylaw. Okay, so do you want to read it or do you want me to read it, Cindy?
I can just summarize it. Essentially,
You would, please?
In the past few months, I've learned that it's important for the confirmatory bylaws to be passed. We were passing them, once or twice a year. In this past year, we've moved to quarterly. But the legal advice that I've received, some training that I've received, researching other local municipalities, most municipalities are doing a confirmatory bylaw at the end of every meeting. And this is for legal reasons. So essentially, all the decisions that were made within the meeting are confirmed, and in terms of legal reasons, or for legal reasons, this is just something that needs to be done. Confirm all the decisions that were made within a meeting. So I'm just recommending to council that we start adopting this instead of doing it quarterly like we were doing this year, that we add it to the agenda and do it at every single meeting. That way it's every meeting, all decisions are confirmed, and there's no question of what's taken place.
Okay, so this is open for discussion, guys. What is L? Cindy?
It's just a
Resolution?
a motion to put confirmatory bylaw in the agenda.
Okay.
Right now, it's not in the agenda, so we would just add it as an item.
Okay, so I'm going to need a mover and a seconder for this, okay? So, Councillor Castelline, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Councillor Shipman, can you second it, please?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so this is a resolution moved by Councillor Castelline, second by Councillor Shipman, that the Council of the Corporation of Municipality of Calvin authorize the addition to the agenda of a confirmatory bylaw to be placed on the agenda at the end of every meeting. So, discussion. Councillor Cross.
No, I just think it's a good idea that we're up to speed and doing pretty much the same things that other municipalities are doing to stay on the right track. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Brooker.
No discussion.
Okay. Councillor Castelline.
I have no discussion further on this. No, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Shipman.
No, I think it's a good idea that whatever we've discussed and whatever bylaws we've passed are confirmed at the end of every meeting so that they're good to go.
Yeah. I think they'll be fresher in our head at the end of every meeting rather than quarterly or yearly even. That way, we look at it and we confirm what we've done that meeting and we're in agreement with it. So I'm going to call for a vote on this one. Councillor Brooker, do you vote to proceed? Yes or no?
Yes, I do.
And Councillor Cross, do you vote to proceed? Yes or no?
Yes, I do.
Councillor Castelline, do you vote to proceed? Yes or no?
Yes, I do.
And Councillor Shipman, do you vote yes or no to proceed?
Yes.
Okay, and I vote yes as well. So thank you, everyone. Next item on the agenda is item M. Okay. And it's bylaw 2021-038, and it's to appoint a municipal administrator. Okay, so this is, I'm going to need a mover and a seconder for this, please. So, Councillor Cross, can you move this one, please?
Yes.
And Councillor Brooker, can you second this one, please?
Yes.
Thank you. So the first reading of this bylaw is moved by Councillor Cross, seconded by Councillor Brooker. Any discussion, Councillor Brooker?
No discussion.
Councillor Cross?
No discussion.
Councillor Castelline?
No discussion.
Councillor Shipley?
No discussion.
Okay, so I'm going to call the first reading to a vote. Councillor Brooker, do you vote to proceed? Yes or no?
Yes.
Councillor Cross?
Yes.
Councillor Castelline?
Yes.
And Councillor Shipley?
Yes.
Okay, and I vote yes as well. So I'm going to need a mover and a seconder for the second reading. So, Councillor Brooker, can you move this one, please?
Yes, I will.
And Councillor Castelline, can you second it, please?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So this is the second reading of the bylaw to appoint a municipal administrator for the municipality of Calvin. So any discussion on this reading, Councillor Brooker?
No discussion.
Councillor Cross?
No discussion.
Councillor Castelline?
No discussion.
And Councillor Shipley?
No discussion.
Okay, so I'm going to call for a vote on the second reading of this bylaw to appoint a municipal administrator for the municipality of Calvin. Councillor Brooker, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Cross?
Yes.
Councillor Castelline?
Yes.
And Councillor Shipley?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you, everyone. So I'm going to try for a third reading. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Cross, can you move this one, please?
I'm just wondering if we should wait till the next, and we've done a lot of third readings in this meeting.
I'm going to go on.
Is it
Person. It's up to you, though. I'm going to have to go through everyone to do it. But,
okay? No.
okay. Councillor Shipham, do you vote yes or no? Will you move this one, third reading?
Yes.
Okay. I need a seconder. So Councillor Shipham. How about Councillor Castelline? Will you second this one?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I agree with Sandy that we should strive to do bylaws in at least two readings, and And therefore, I cannot second this.
Okay. So Councillor Brooker, will you second this one?
Because I'm new, could I ask for the other counselors to give their reasons why, again, clearly, no, just so I can be clear before I make a decision?
Yes, you can do that. Councillor Cross, would you mind providing your answer or your reasons?
We've tried to make it a policy to not pass all 3 votes in one night, so it gives the opportunity to the community to put in their comments or their concerns, so that it comes back to the next meeting. If it's something that's really important, like I don't even know what voting you guys in tonight and passing some of these things that we did, that was time sensitive. I know that we really want to get this done, but I don't think it's that time sensitive that we need to pass 3 in one night. That's just my feeling. I don't know if I explained that well enough.
Yeah, you did pretty good.
No, that was for me. And if it's an established policy that we don't want to do that, all 3 in one night, I think I would say no.
No, it is not a policy.
Oh.
Okay. Okay, and Councillor Castelline, you would you mind explaining your rationale to Councillor Brooker?
Yes, we have in the beginning of this this current council term, we had discussions about doing 3 readings in one session, and it was generally felt that it was not really desirable unless it was really, really, really urgent. Personally, I do not see this as an urgency that requires 3 readings in one session. So that's what my reasoning was.
Okay, thank you. Does that provide you with enough information, Councillor Brooker?
Yes, it does. And based on those answers, I think I will say no.
Okay. So can we defer this to our next meeting then, Councillor Cindy?
Absolutely.
The 3rd reading? Okay. Do we have to put that in here someplace?
No, we'll just do the 3rd reading in the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, everyone, actually. Next item on the agenda was N. It was an educational thing. 5 sustainable procedural strategics for the public sector, and that was used in our council package. After that, we have information letters. The first one in there was or is there any in there that's of interest to anyone, or? The first one, back to redevelopment, it's A, the capital and point to the H. I gotta get it in my package here. And it was basically the resolution that was part the financing options that we had. Any discussion on any of that? No? Okay, next item was Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada, Minister of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs. It was
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. We were on a castle home for the aged, and
yeah, I asked if nobody spoke up, so I moved on. But if you have something to say, go ahead.
Yeah, I was looking for my paperwork.
Okay.
earlier I said that Calvin's annual payment for the mortgage financing would be about $55,000 a year, and I got that from Appendix C in that rather large
Yes.
section of paper that we got. So,
Yeah.
so that would be for 25 years, the 55,000, and that is close to what we're currently paying for the maintenance costs and the operating costs. So that's where that number came from.
Yes.
That was it.
Anything further, Councillor Castelline?
No, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so there was a thing from the Minister of Agriculture in here. And then there was soft arm camera system that Municipality of East Ferris was supporting. We already have that in the Mattawa area. Looks like they're trying to develop it up at that end. Then we had, after that, yeah. There was a big document in here, PA modernization. Where's that one? Priest responsibility, 3 R's, collaborative. Is there any in here that's of interest to anyone that they would like to do anything with? Councillor Cross?
No, there wasn't. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Shipham?
No, there wasn't anything.
Okay. Councillor Castelline?
There's item number N, which is the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities regarding the physician, nurse, and healthcare professional shortage. I know that that there was a petition going out to the provincial government to fund the Northern School of Medicine, and I think that would be a very worthwhile cause. Secondly, we have the Northern Ontario Resource Development Support Fund. There is
which item is that?
That is item D.
D?
I have a question regarding that. In order to qualify for that grant money, would we have to identify a project right now, or can we Can we just say that we are interested and not identify a project yet? And I think that Cindy may be to that.
Can you comment on that, please, Cindy?
I actually had a meeting with our advisor at 3:45 today about that, and you do have to say what you're going to use the money for, and it has to be related to resources. Specifically, in our case, it would probably be more like resource extraction. So, for instance, the logging that's done in our area. So it does have to be related, but it can be something like roads, bridges, culverts, something along those lines. So the logging trucks are using our roads, bridges, culverts, et cetera. But yes, in answer to your question, Councillor Castelline, it does have to be you do have to specify a particular project. We have been allotted $60,000. This is a project that will go on for 5 years. And at the moment, they're estimating that we'll receive $60,000 every year for 5 years. You can accumulate the $60,000 over the 5-year period if there was a large project that we wanted to do. So, for example, if we wanted to use it for the resurfacing of Peddler's Drive, we could collect it over the 5 years, and that would help pay for the resurfacing of Peddler's Drive. Or if there was some sort of major bridge repairs, wouldn't really cover the cost of actually replacing a bridge, because it should cost quite a bit more money than that. But, you know, if there was a major repair that needed to be done based on our asset management plan, we could collect it over time. We could collect it for a couple of years and then do it. We could collect it for, 3 years, whatever. There's a variety of options, but essentially we have to submit a proposal by January 27th of 2022.
Thank you.
So can we do anything with that item N on the agenda about the PONOM and their concern about physicians and nurses? I know there's been a lot of information on media in the last 2 weeks about that. They're already asking on our behalf, right? So
We can send a letter of support.
I'd like to do that if we could. Everybody in agreement to that?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else in there? Councillor Castellan?
No, not for the moment. Thank you.
Okay, so I think Councillor Shipman always said no. Am I correct?
Yep.
Okay, and Councillor Cross?
We're good.
And Councillor Brooker?
I'm good.
Okay. So item L, I just want to say that we haven't been contacted yet, okay, about the broadband strategy. And on the next page, item V, as in Victor, it's Near North Crime Stoppers. I'd like to recommend that we proceed with this, that we support Crime Stoppers by putting a resolution forth saying that we would make this Crime Stoppers month or whatever, just to support them in their efforts. Anyone agreeable to that?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Councillor Cross
Yes.
and Councillor Brooker?
Definitely support.
Okay, so can we bring back a resolution at the next meeting to do that, please, Cindy?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Then I guess the next item on the agenda is information letters available. And I was speaking to Cindy about these, and these are very, very large documents. And if anybody wants them, she said she'd be happy to provide them to you, but they were just too large to print. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is old and new business. We don't have that anymore. And then after that is council approval report, and we don't do that anymore. So the next item on the agenda is item 11. It's a closed portion of the meeting. Yes, Councillor Cross?
Sorry. I just noticed with W, I assumed that we were in support of this, but do they need a letter of support with W for the city of North Bay?
No, it's my understanding the resolution will suffice. Is that correct, Cindy?
Yes, essentially the W is the same thing that was passed almost verbatim by the city of North Bay, by us this evening as well. So it's essentially our
Okay,
letter.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that, that's all.
Okay, other municipalities are passing that as well. Okay. So
Hopefully,
item 11 is closed portion. So as per section 239, 3.1, for the purpose of education and training, read council role and legal obligations as an employer. Section 239, 2B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including a municipal or local board employee, and 2D, labor relations or employee negotiations, to discuss performance expectations, wages, and negotiation of an employment contract for the clerk treasurer. Section 239, 2E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, and Section 239, 2K, a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on behalf of the municipality of local board 3 Stewards Road. Okay, so I'm going to need a mover and a seconder for this one, please. So Councillor Cross, can you move this one?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. And Councillor Brooker, can you second this one, please?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Any discussion on this? Councillor Cross?
No discussion.
Councillor Shipham?
No discussion.
Councillor Castelline?
no discussion.
And Councillor Brooker?
No discussion.
Okay. I'm going to call for a vote to move into a closed portion. Councillor Brooker, do you vote to move into a closed portion?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Councillor Cross, do you vote to move into this closed portion?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Councillor Castelline, do you vote to move into this closed portion?
Yes,
Thank you. And Councillor Shipham, do you vote to move into this closed portion?
Yes.
And I do as well. So this resolution is carried, and we're going to move into a closed